Hi, my name is Shari Doherty, and I'm a lady in red, in Act 2 of my career and living my best life. My perspective on life and behaviors have been governed by who I was as a child, who I became, and who I am still striving to be. People my age are beautiful, bold, confident, and full of wisdom, and truly, the encore of the story of your life is still when the best songs are yet to be sung. My mission in this podcast is to shine the spotlight on people like me, have real conversations about reinvention stories, and inspire you to continue to follow your dreams regardless of your age. I'm doing it for Daisy. Who are you doing it for? Welcome to today's episode of the Encore Podcast. Today, I am delighted to have with me Joanne Smith, who is the owner of Coming Out of the Closet. We'll get to what that means, but welcome to the show, Joanne.
Thanks so much, Shari, for having me.
I'm very excited to hear your story, and in a minute, we'll find out what coming out of the closet means to you. If you will, though, please tell us a little bit about yourself, and how we like to start is maybe where you were born and raised, what your childhood was like, any highlights or lowlights that you're comfortable to share, and then I might ask some digging questions, but just give us a little bit of your backstory.
Certainly be happy to. So I was actually born in Montreal, lived there until I was 6 years old when my parents opted to move to Ontario. So I really grew up in Toronto, went to school in Toronto, made most of my lifelong friends there. Later on in life, I had moved so many times, and I'm sure a real estate agent would really like to hear that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I was a child, so it didn't help much. But when I was in grade 7, we'd moved 27 times at that point.
Were you military?
No.
Wow. Just like to move?
My dad just looking for different work, back and forth to Montreal and back to Toronto again. And
wow.
Just part of life for me was moving. When I hit high school age, my parents opted to move completely out of the area where my school was. So instead of changing schools in grade 12, I chose to stay at my high school and traveled for an hour and a half by bus and subway to get to school to finish my education. Shortly after that, I had met a gentleman, we'll use that term loosely today, in high school, and we dated for several years, got married. He found a job and was transferred to London, Ontario. So here I am moving again. Mm-hmm. Lived there for 8 years. We divorced actually 10 months after we got married.
Really?
We started divorce proceedings.
Wow.
It was not going to be a good marriage. So instead of walking away, I ran. And actually, that's when I found myself enjoying working in a bank.
Okay.
I had started when I was in Toronto doing reception work and then became a teller and sort of moved myself up the ranks. When we moved to London, London was going through a recession, so there was no jobs. But after about a month and a half, I persevered and found a job with a commercial bank that since merged with another Canadian charter bank. So I, once again, stayed within banking and moved up the ranks and decided that I wanted to get into management and do lending. And so I did what I needed to do and talked to all the right people and got myself back to Toronto so I could continue on with my career. I enjoyed really living in London. It's a great little town. I was there for 8 years, but Toronto was still my home.
Right.
But it changed drastically in the time that I was away.
Oh, it has.
Yeah.
I was born and raised there as well.
Yeah. So we were in South Etobicoke. So when I went back, I met another gentleman, and we stayed together for quite some time and opted to get married, and then had children late in life. I was almost 40 when I had my son and 42 when I had my daughter.
Okay.
And we didn't really want our children growing up in Toronto. We'd seen...
Good call.
Yeah, it was kind of taking a turn for the worse. So we opted to move to lovely Napanee, Ontario.
Okay.
Where we raised our children on a hobby farm. We had 81 acres, and they went to a little school of 200 kids where they got to know everybody. Felt so comfortable knowing the teachers knew all the kids, and it was a fantastic upbringing for the kids. Unfortunately, my turning point was when my ex-husband decided that he wanted to be with somebody else.
Oh, sorry.
Hey,
when that happens.
Yeah, no kidding. At least pick somebody that I didn't know, but, Napanee is Napanee, right?
Right.
So went through a turning point. I was just turning 50, so went through that and persevered. My strong side certainly came out then.
I bet.
And shortly after that, I lost my job. So I was out of work.
Feel ya.
Yeah, so out of work, going through divorce, trying to be a single mom, trying to maintain the house that I decided to buy out from him. having to hire people to, maintain the property because I certainly couldn't shovel a quarter of a mile long driveway.
Right.
So once again, persevered, put my big girl pants on, just kind of went through it. I got strong kids out of it because of what they saw their mom going through.
Right.
Which, still to this day, we have an amazing relationship, and they really kind of look up to me a little bit, which is nice.
As they should.
Which is a nice thing to say. Down the road, found another job. I was actually searched by another bank. I wasn't really sure I wanted to stay in banking. I was a little bit miffed. I had been 30 years with a particular bank, and to see myself out in the street was not a kind thing to have to go through.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah. I know.
I have the exact same story.
Yes, exactly. So like I said, I was recruited by one of the Big Five and opted to go work with them, where they allowed me to delve even more into banking. Started with some small business banking and then went into commercial banking. And then I had a few health issues with regard to stress and the like. So I spoke with our VP to see if there was any possibility that I could work part-time or just, more casual work. So she asked if I would be interested in doing a complete 360 and being a teller again.
Okay.
As we call them today, customer service representatives. So I said yes.
Why not?
Because I love working with the public. I had a great background to be able to
Oh, for sure.
help clients with their personal banking, their small business banking as well, and worked out of the Napanee branch, which is a lovely branch. Luckily, I wasn't living there at the time, but
I think that's where I met you the first time,
exactly,
probably.
I think you worked with my previous manager.
I did, yes.
Yeah, so
Small world.
Oh, it is a very small world, especially Napanee. 1 degree of separation there.
Not even 7.
Not even 7. So enjoyed that part of my life tremendously.
Right.
And then, as we all know, 2020, the turning
2020.
point. Yeah, so bankers were considered essential employees, and we had to go to work and deal with the public and deal with very angry public, needless to say, who couldn't do their regular banking and didn't all wanted to come in and, hand over their bills to pay them and touch their money and their debit cards. And when, that was not a good thing to be doing. So went through another little bit of a health crisis because of that and was given the opportunity to work from home.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took that job and worked full-time doing training, being the 1-800 number that you call on the back of your card. That was me.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
One of them, because they were recruiting because everybody was starting to do telephone banking.
Right.
And they couldn't go into banks and they didn't know how to use ABMs and such. So I did that for several months and then just felt like I was just caving and called up my financial planner, called up our HR department and said, can I retire?
Right.
And they said, absolutely. And 5 days later, I retired.
Wow.
Yeah,
5 days, you just were ready to pull the plug.
I was done. I was
Okay.
absolutely done. No disrespect to my former employer. It was just the right time.
Right. Okay. So then you're looking at a whole second half of your life.
Absolutely.
And if you're anything like me, I actually never cried because I left my prior career. I actually cried because I was more afraid of I didn't know what was next. And I'm the type of person who needs some certainty and I need a plan and I need to know what I'm going to do to fill my days. And that scared me a little bit more than
imagine.
leaving where I had been.
Yeah.
So how did you decide what you wanted to do next?
Well, I'll tell you an amazing little story. So the day that I was let go, they actually decided to cancel the position that I was doing at the time. And I went and picked up my son from school, and then I picked up my daughter, and she says, Mommy, why are you not at work? And she would have been probably about 10 or 11 years old at the time. And I said, well, unfortunately, Mommy just lost her job, and, I don't know what I'm going to do. And her little brilliant self looked at me and said, Mommy, look at this as an opportunity.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was it. That was my grief was done. It was like,
beautiful.
Okay.
That's a great story.
It was, like I still get shivers when I think about it.
I'm tearing up a little.
Yeah. So, like I said, I was a little, kerfuffled with the banking industry and thought, no, I'm going to do something different. And the bank offered me an employment counselor. So I took that opportunity to go see her once a week and talk about other opportunities and work on my resume and she was so uplifting because she said, with all the experience that I had, not only was I, could have been a banker, but I could have been a teacher. I could have been in several positions outside of banking that I could consider
Right.
instead of banking as a career. And like I said, I was recruited and opted to go for that. But in the back of my mind, I knew what was coming,
Right.
and what I really wanted to do. And I share passion in design. I've taken interior design courses over the years. I took floral design when I was living in London, and I love to organize. So I thought I'd put together something that would pique my interest and be able to do something that I wanted to do later in
Okay.
life. Yes.
So what was born from that?
That became my organizing business, named Coming Out of the Closet. So what I like to explain my business is I love to go in and completely reorganize closets or pantries or kitchen cupboards, garages, whatever, and make them tidy and organized. And closets, I love to put graphic wallpaper up there or a nice color paint.
Fun.
I call it, it's another pretty room in your house.
Right.
So you want to have everything, you want to open up the doors to your closet and go, ah, as opposed to, ugh.
No, I make a different noise when I open mine and then I shut the door again.
Quickly, yeah. So I was literally redoing my bedroom closet and taking everything out and basically down to the studs and putting up a new organizing system. And I had wallpapered beautiful pink roses in my bedroom closet. And I was literally coming out and I went, Coming Out of the Closet, what a great name for a business. So, boom, it was born. And so I've just been working on developing it and got a couple clients under my belt. I've been chatting with some real estate agents to work with them directly for home staging or being accessory to that. Just having fun with it. I don't want it to be a job.
Right.
I want it to be fun.
Right. What I find is in my Act 2 career, which obviously I'm in as well, I'm literally excited to get up in the morning still. And I'm now in my 5th year and I still have that level of excitement because
awesome.
I don't know what the day's going to bring.
Yes.
And I do know that whatever it does bring is going to be different, exciting, things that still interest me. And I don't know who I'm going to meet, which is great. So I imagine that you have similar feelings because you get to use your creative passions.
Yes.
You don't know who you're going to meet or who's going to call, and you're doing work you love.
Exactly. And I was scrolling through Facebook one day, and somebody had put a post out there saying, does anybody know anybody that wallpapers? And she was new to the city, and I just answered and said, I can help out. She messaged me after receiving probably 10 or 15 responses and said, would you be able to, come over to my place? And I'm just looking at doing 2 walls in a guest bedroom. Absolutely. Gave me her address, went and met her. Wonderful person.
Oh, so
absolutely
nice.
Wonderful person. Another 2 degree of separation. Her husband knows somebody that I knew from Scarborough.
Right. Okay.
And they were both firefighters. So we fast and furious friends, and she loved my wallpapering job. She just called me up the other day saying, I'm going to wallpaper another room. Can you come out and help me with that?
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so she's been very happy with the work that I did. She's given my name to other people, and as well as the organizing business side of things. She's redoing a garage in their house to be a master suite with a built-in pantry, and she wants me to help her with design for that.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, and to get all that organized. So it's pretty exciting to be able to, just pick up on something and run with it.
Oh, I love that.
Have it work out.
You literally are glowing when you talk about that. I love when I watch people light up when they talk about what they're passionate about.
Right.
And I can literally see it on your face. Now, we haven't even talked about a whole nother side of your life that I'm really well aware of that I would love to explore as well. But you're an actress.
That's right. It was one of those things that, lifelong interested in and just had the passion but never had the ability. So when I was living in Napanee and working there, I saw in the paper that they were looking for people to audition for a play, and I went, what the heck?
Right.
Something I've always wanted to do. So I went up and I auditioned and I got a part and just ran with it. And next thing you know, I'm auditioning for the next play and the next play.
That's so cool.
And oh my gosh, so much fun. And working with a director recently who said he'd seen me and my progress, and complimented me on how much I'd worked harder and was able to be a better portrayer of the characters that I was playing, and really was quite positive about the progress that I'd made. And since have been able to be in a play in Kingston at the Domino Theatre,
That's amazing.
which was an amazing experience altogether, from the little theater in Selby to the Domino here in Kingston. And I've also been auditioning for some commercials and some TV work and some
so
movies. And I was actually very fortunate to have been chosen to play a background performer in Alias Grace.
Wow,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. So that was quite an experience as well.
So I may or may not have mentioned this previously, but I'm definitely jealous because I have similar aspirations. And I will share with you, or with our listeners at least, the only time I've ever done a play, you and I were in it
That's
together,
right, that's
which
right.
is hilarious. We were just talking about that before we got on air. I have similar aspirations. I would love to do more theater. I quite
Good.
enjoy it.
Yes.
The only one I did was we did a murder mystery club play together at the Italian Club,
That's right.
which was literally 3 days before the pandemic,
Exactly.
which is
Exactly.
crazy.
Yes.
That was the first one I ever did. I really did enjoy it,
Oh, you
and
were
I would
fabulous.
love to do more of it. I would love to get more involved. My limitation right now is time,
Yes.
because I do remember them saying at one point you literally have to commit to rehearsals every night
Yes.
when you're coming up to play, and then performances every night.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, that doesn't work as a realtor,
No,
because if I'm not available to go show a house, they'll just call another realtor.
That's right.
And-
And your busiest times are evenings and weekends,
Right.
which is when
100%. So
need to
in
be
the
at play.
future, future versions of Shari will probably have more time for that. And I want to follow in your footsteps and learn from you, because I
Thank
do
you.
aspire to be just like you when I
Aw,
grow up.
So sweet. Thank you. Got a long way to go, my dear.
And I love that you do that, because there's
Yeah.
so obviously you have such creativity in you.
Yes.
And
yes.
you like to use your creative passions and now in your business.
Exactly.
But as well in your personal outlets.
That's right.
Which is fantastic.
That's right.
What's the favorite role you've ever played and in what play?
It was called Sweet Delilah Swim Club.
Oh, I remember looking into that.
Yeah. So it was a group of 5 of us that got together every summer and went to a cottage. We had been college friends on a swim team. So we met at a cottage that was on the water, and we swam and we ate and we drank and we drank and we ate and we drank and we talked.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's what women do.
That's right. And it was just a fun play. The characters were amazing. The ladies that I played with were so much fun to work with. I was rehearsing for that when we were doing the production together at the Italian Club.
Oh, okay.
And we were set to go on stage 3 days after COVID hit.
Okay.
So we stayed together as a group and kept rehearsing, thinking, okay, it'll open up next week. It'll open up next month. Well,
2 weeks to flatten the curve.
That's right. And then, of course,
She
that
said sarcastically.
yes, exactly. And then we knew that wasn't going to necessarily happen in March or April or May. We thought maybe June, maybe July, maybe September. So because we couldn't get together as a group, and I was living in Kingston at the time, I would phone in and we
Okay.
would rehearse with people standing 6 feet apart in somebody's driveway and me on the phone.
I'm shaking my head.
Commitment, right?
Bad memories.
So we continued to do that until we thought, this isn't going to happen anytime soon.
Right.
So finally, when we were able to go back into production, of the 5 of us, 3 of us were still able to make it.
Oh, good.
And we've just formed lifelong friendships now.
So nice.
Yeah, we were all in it together.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful director who basically sat back and went, you guys know what you're doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I bet it was so sweet when you finally performed.
It was. And we got standing ovation every night, which is something you strive for. And wonderful comments from people in the audience. We met them afterwards and just laughed. They laughed from start to finish.
That's
And
amazing.
It was a really, really good play. It was sort of like Golden Girls.
Right.
If you can
I
get
get
that
it.
concept.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Meeting on the
100%.
Outer Banks of North Carolina.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what does future Joanne look like?
Future Joanne is actually working part-time right now
Oh.
in industries that she enjoys.
Okay.
So I am working at a bar 1 to 2 nights a week.
Right.
Next
I
door
forgot
to
this
your
part.
office. Yes.
Okay, so let's plug Leveda.
Yes,
Go ahead.
That's right. So La Vida is 3 months old now. It's a Latin theme bar where they teach Latin dancing. They've recently introduced Spanish lessons. They've had a great following. They've had some really good news stories, I guess, in the last couple of months. So it's fun to be with them and growing with them. And then I've also just recently started working at a pizza pie in Bath.
Fun.
And helping out the owner, Dave Reggett, with organizing staff and getting things put together for him. He was in the restaurant industry several years ago. He's having sort of a resurgence of his life and has gone back into restaurant owning. And he happened to meet me at La Vida. This is how life happens, right? So we were just chatting, and I went, I know you. And he goes, yeah, I'm, the so-and-so Dave Reggett and whatever. Hands me his card. He says, do you want to come work with me too? So why not?
I love how you jump into opportunity.
Yes.
And right
Both
back
feet.
to when your daughter said that to you,
Exactly.
which probably has become your life mantra because that's such a
Absolutely.
beautiful moment.
Yes.
I love, though, how you just seize opportunity and just continue to evolve and pivot and grow. And clearly there's no slowing down.
No, not anytime soon. Maybe this summer when, the pool's open.
Right.
I might slow down then. But yeah, to me, it's a wonderful way to meet people from different walks of life, different avenues, different backgrounds. People that I work with, the customers that are coming in. And it just allows me that opportunity to be social again. We weren't social for so long that I kind of got a little hermity.
I kept saying we were lulled in the security of our home cocoons.
Exactly.
But it was a false security because it wasn't healthy.
No, not at all.
Which
not at
was
all.
a little scary.
Yeah. So now
if you
I'm
could
out
go
there.
back and talk to 20-year-old Joanne, what
my
would you
gosh.
tell her?
Don't get married the first time.
Well, I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Right.
Absolutely, don't be afraid. Jump in, take opportunities, take chances. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. It's another lifelong lesson.
Right. So what?
Yeah, so what? Big deal.
Right.
There's something else out there.
I love that. And I love your energy and
Thank you,
enthusiasm. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story.
Oh, my
you
pleasure.
are definitely a role model and a light for the Encore community. And I know that there are great things ahead of you, so we'll all be cheering you on and following your story.
Oh, thanks so much, Shari. I appreciate you having me on.